results now, and I want to know that you actually like it. Of course, you can comment live during the show on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. Please do that and let me know you're watching the show. Let me know you like it. Let me know anything that you want to know about, that I should know about the show. Don't forget also to subscribe to the YouTube channel and like the Money Chat Now page on Facebook. Money Chat Now is brought to you by Investor Schooling, and you can attend a complimentary class this Thursday by going to investorschooling.com. There you will learn about real estate investing and stock options trading from those who do it every day. So on today's show, we're going to be discussing the market update and how great it was actually today, the Bitcoin record, Pinterest interest, the China comeback, maybe. We're going to be talking about Netflix downgrade, tax increases, retail panic, and of course we'll be going through the wrap-up and talking to you about what I think are some great picks for this coming week. All right, so wow, man, the Dow Jones actually broke another record today as better than expecting earnings just keep rolling in. It's fantastic. The market climbed a wall of worries over the last 2 months, fears over the the Delta variant, supply chain issues, a China property crisis, the Federal Reserve signaling the removal of stimulus, surging inflation reports, and the debt ceiling vote, and the infrastructure bill vote. Whew, wow, there was a whole lot of stuff going on the last 2 months. And it turned out to be not a bad 2 weeks so far, and some notable stocks are definitely moving up. And we're going to be talking about that too. In fact, the Dow today closed up at about a little over 150 points. The S&P closed up a little over 16.5 points. The NASDAQ was down 7 points. I'm not really worried about that too much, considering that we've had some good NASDAQ moves the last couple of days, and it seemed to be moving over. We all know that Netflix is going to be announcing their earnings any second now, and that is also going to change the NASDAQ tomorrow. Whatever Netflix does today is going to have a, Tesla. Whatever Tesla does today is going to affect the NASDAQ tomorrow, and we will see how that plays out. Let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin. So I predicted it earlier this week. If you guys were listening, Bitcoin has actually broken the record, and I said it would, and it went over 66,000 today, and it was most likely caused by the new Bitcoin ETF, BITO is the symbol. As we discussed yesterday, the Bitcoin ETF, BITO, started trading yesterday, and this ETF is based on futures of Bitcoin. Basically, they're option contracts that will bet on the future prices of Bitcoin. This is similar to oil future contracts, and it's played basically the same way. You need to also understand, in case you're interested in this fund, that it does not own Bitcoin, but it will be based only on the futures. The combination of the excitement of the ETF and the sudden surge of Bitcoin pricing moved the ETF to a price of about 43.5. Now, honestly, this is a great move considering it opened yesterday at 40. So the IPO was yesterday at 40, which is fantastic. So that's a really nice return in 2 days if you were in it. Look, too bad, I'm going to tell you, too bad the options weren't available for it, because if they were, I probably would have been into it. But anyways, for those of you who often ask the question, when will options be available, it's usually about 1 to 3 months after an asset gets launched, so look for it soon. Hey, by the way, if you're watching, don't forget to hit the like button, don't forget the share button, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of Bitcoin. Let me know what you think it's going to do. You can leave that comment on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn or anywhere else that you're seeing this show right now. Let's talk a little bit about Pinterest today. Wow. All of a sudden, I was in my office, and I looked up my stock ticker screen, and Pinterest had moved about 8 points. I was like, whoa, what just happened? I was blown away. Or maybe it was like, oh, crap, I sold that yesterday. Well, either way, I searched the news feed to find out that PayPal is making an offer to buy and own Pinterest. Or are they? Well, I've often found that news articles like this one, especially ones where the source is anonymous, can quickly be misleading or just plain manipulative. Yes, it's possible that this was leaked intentionally to drive up the stock price, or it was misrepresented for the same reason. So just be careful, because there's no absolute evidence that this is for real, except that everyone's talking about it. But anyway, that's cool because Pinterest stock moved up so fast that the trading was actually halted twice today. Now, when a stock moves so fast in either direction, this will cause what's termed as the circuit breaker. So the circuit breaker will go off and won't allow trading in the stock anymore. And it's basically to allow a cooling off period and a reset period for the traders, both human and computers, to adjust their prices and their emotions. Anyway, PayPal, basically, who's going to be buying Pinterest, has rumored to be discussed acquiring the company for a potential price of around $70 a share, which would value Pinterest at about $39 billion, according to Bloomberg. Pinterest stock yesterday closed at $55.55 a share, and it's funny because that was my out price. My out price was $55, so of course I sold it. I sold actually a little right before $55. Last week, when Pinterest was below $50, I told this audience to buy Pinterest into earnings, and then I expected it to hit $55 easily, and it did. Of course, I sold it a little early, but whatever. No worries. Nobody ever went broke taking a profit, but couldn't they have just announced the news a day earlier just for me? It would have been nice, right? I would have made all this money. I mean, I know Jamie at the company made money. That was pretty cool. Anyway, as for the rumor or true news, we will see as it plays out. Like I said, I'm a little skeptical, but as we all know, buy on the rumor and sell on the news. This is a probable put play, even if PayPal is rumored to be offering $70 a share to purchase the company, because again, it'll go down on the news when it actually happens. Is China making a comeback? I don't know. Last month I discussed that China's stocks were taking a beating as new communist regulations were cracking down on all large, profitable, publicly owned properties or stocks, right? We saw Alibaba, Tencent, and others tank day after day after day. And after my bad plays with JNUG, Baba was probably my second bad play of the year and crushed my account this year. So between JNUG and Baba, I lost quite a few dollars, and it was a bad year for me so far. But the Chinese stocks are actually starting to move forward again. The real question is why? And look, most likely it's just forward momentum, and the fact that the news isn't discussing China and the stocks as often. I still would avoid these stocks for a little while, at least until the dust settles and new patterns form, because you're going to get hurt if you're not careful. So Netflix actually yesterday had a great earnings report, and the stock jumped just a little bit at closing. However, today Deutsche Bank downgraded the stock merely on the fact that they believe it really can't grow much more. Wow. They feel the revenue and new user potential is mostly tapped. The downgrade is from buy to hold. Now, I always find this interesting, from buy to hold. Really? I often find it doesn't even make any sense, right? You would downgrade a stock from buy to hold, and it's kind of odd. The clear meaning of this is that they are no longer suggesting that you add to your position or make new purchases. The hold part clearly means that you should hold on to your shares. But if you downgrade a stock from buy to hold, doesn't it mean you should sell it now and buy it back when the price goes lower again? I don't know. Or maybe even buy it back when they upgrade it from hold to buy? Well, either way, as a stock, I would continue to hold it. As a stock option, the premiums are too high for me anyway, so I'm probably not going to do it, because the risk-reward ratio is just too much to make any sense. And with that being said, I'm not really sure which way this stock's going to go in the near future, so I would definitely stay away from it. It's definitely not one of my plays, so I would not do it. All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back in a minute, and we will be discussing, oh boy, we're going to be discussing the fact that, I don't even know what we're going to be discussing. We'll discuss it when we get back.
Okay, so you've thought about investing in real estate, houses, apartment buildings, properties, but don't really know where to start. Well, what if you could very easily learn how to gain strategies to use other people's money to buy and sell houses in the Philadelphia area? If you could learn and network with successful area real estate investors, and how to produce monthly income on rental properties without headaches, that place is Investor Schooling. With Investor Schooling, you'll learn from two Philadelphia area rockstar real estate investors, Phil Falcone and Larry Steinhouse, about how to buy and sell properties the easy way, and teach you basic and advanced techniques to help you make money in real estate. You can attend Investor Schooling in person or online visual classes 8 times a month. You can and will learn how to make money in real estate. Call for free information and get a complimentary pass to one of these classes. But don't delay, as these complimentary passes are limited. Call the number on your screen now or visit investorschooling.com. investorschooling.com.
Welcome back to Money Chat Now. I am your host, Larry Steinhouse. Hey, don't forget, hit the share button, hit the like button. You can comment right now on Facebook. You can comment on LinkedIn, on YouTube, wherever it is you're watching it. You can make comments. I can see them. And Dave Hargrave, hey, Dave, what's going on, man? He told me he bought some Shiba, and we're going to talk about that in a little while. We've also been talking so far. We've been talking about the market update and how the Dow is up 152 points. The S&P is up 16.5 points. The Nasdaq is down about 7.5 points. And it's been a nice day. By the way, I've noticed also that the VIX is kind of settling now. It's kind of like getting back to normal. It's around 15. It's funny, when the VIX was 15, 16 about 2 years ago, I would get a little nervous, but 15, 16 now, I like it at 15, 16 because of the way, it was up pretty damn high for a while, so it's pretty good. We also talked about the fact that Bitcoin hit a new record today, and the reason it hit a new record is, once again, that ETF is going to make it happen, at least for now. We talked about the fact that PayPal may be buying Pinterest. I'm skeptical, but the rest of the world says this is happening, and we're going to find out. I'd be curious to see. I also suggested it. If anything, it's a put play. We also talked about China coming back. It's a possibility that the China stocks like Baba and Tencent might actually come back. We talked about the fact that Netflix was downgraded, and it was downgraded mostly because, the Deutsche Bank feels that they're not going to be able to expand any further. But they do that all the time. It's bizarre. Anyway, we're going to be talking about tax increases. We're going to be talking about the retail panic. And, of course, we're going to be talking about the wrap-up and my stock picks for the week. All right. Let's talk about a little bit about tax increases. For a while now, or actually since January 20th, I wonder what happened then. We have been warned that a sprawling tax increase was in the works for the American people. Although it has been sold as taxing the rich and corporations, anyone with a brain knows that taxing corporations will just lead to price increases, and taxing the rich will just lead to more tax shelter movements for this group, leaving the reality of tax increases to be pushed on the middle class player. And that's you. The Democrats, who can't do basic math, keep pressing for more tax increases to pay for things like the massive infrastructure bill we discussed yesterday. The $3.5 trillion bill that has only about $1 trillion of actual infrastructure in it. Well, it turns out that the Democrats need a unanimous vote in the Senate in order to get this passed, and one major holdout is the Arizona Democrat, Kyrsten Sinema. Wow, a Democrat. The Arizona Democrat has told lobbyists that she is opposed to any increase in tax rates. Democrats have proposed raising the corporate tax rate to 26.5% from 21%, who, if you remember, Trump brought it down to 21%, moving the top individual rate to 39.6% from 37%, and increasing the top capital gains rate to 28.8% from 23.8%. That's a big difference, by the way. Their plan would also add a 3% surtax on income above $5 million. So if you made income above $5 million, you'd get a surtax of 3% for everything above that. That's a lot to make, but it's fascinating to me that they're going to do that. Anyway, now they're all at a standstill. The Democrats are at a standstill, and hopefully this senator will continue with the good sense to not agree and possibly make the other Democrats realize that taxing the people to pay for things that should not be paid for will actually end, and maybe we'll actually have some normalcy back. All right, let's talk a little bit about the retail buying panic. Apparently, retailers and manufacturers are over-ordering, or placing orders too early amid panic over the massive supply chain crisis. As we have been discussing, and I'm sure you're aware of, the supply chain issues are continuing as limited materials and limited personnel are causing everything to slow down. You've seen the pictures of the ships, of course, in California, waiting to unload. It's unbelievable. This was initially caused by the ridiculous government overreach period over the last 2 years. You remember, 2 weeks to flatten the curve? Well, the curve turned out to be a dark tunnel of ridiculous mandates, closing stores, manufacturers, transportation, and other businesses, both big and small. Now we sit here waiting for normalcy again, as ships are not being unloaded. Because the problems are well known, orders for raw materials, component parts, and finished goods are now being placed earlier than normal, which is lengthening the queue, creating a vicious cycle, and some companies are even over-ordering, hoping to get these orders cut to an acceptable amount so they can operate the Christmas and coming year. The bottlenecks are unlikely to disappear overnight, so we better buckle up. Buckle up for a free trial and subscription to socialism. Are you enjoying your free trial and subscription to socialism? I'm not so sure I am, but if you are, let me know. And if you're not, let me know too. Leave a comment right now. And of course, share this video, like this video, leave comments. We're going to take a break right now. We're going to come back, and I'm going to talk to you about the wrap-up and my stock picks. Oh, and Tesla too, because it just announced earnings. Investor schooling needs a new slogan.
Investor schooling? Never heard of.
Investor schooling?
Never heard of them.
Investor schooling? Never heard of them.
Any suggestions? Phil?
Investor schooling. We never heard of you either.
Investor Schooling. We never heard of you either. Register for a free class at investorschooling.com.
Investor schooling. Those guys are everywhere.
Investor schooling? Those guys are everywhere.
Investor schooling?
Those guys are everywhere.
Investor Schooling. Those guys are everywhere. Register for a free class at investorschooling.com.
Welcome back to Money Chat Now. I am your host, Larry Steinhouse, and so far we've been discussing the market update. The market is actually up about 152 points, the Dow, and it's broke record today, by the way, which is fantastic. The S&P is up 16.5 points. The NASDAQ down 7.5 points, no big deal, although I'm going to predict that tomorrow is going to be a bad day in the market. Not a seriously bad day, but a bad day, maybe down 200 points-ish. S&P maybe down, whatever, 10, 15 points. Nothing terrible, but wait for it because I believe that's going to happen. We just had 6 beautiful days in a row, and it's time for it to settle down a little bit. We also talked about today's Bitcoin record, where Bitcoin has actually popped over 66,000, and most of that was, of course, because of the Bitcoin ETF BITO. If you want to look that up, I tell you, that's a good thing to watch. I don't know if I play it yet, but I definitely watch. We talked about Pinterest possibly being bought out by PayPal, and we talked about the China comeback, so stocks in China might actually come back. We talked about Netflix being downgraded by Deutsche Bank, but I don't think they're making a good decision there, but we'll see. We talked about the Democrats in a standstill about this tax increase. They may not be able to do it. And we talked about, of course, the retail panic, where everyone's over-ordering because they're afraid they're not going to have enough stuff. I'll be honest with you, I did the same thing too. I ordered some stuff for my granddaughter recently because I wanted to make sure that she had her presents in case it wasn't around. By the way, did you guys hit the share button yet? Please hit the share button on your Facebook page. Please hit the share button in the YouTube, and also hit like so I know you're liking it. Come on, share this gold. I want to know that you like it. And of course, if you have any comments, feel free to leave them. Hey, look, my favorite comment right now is let's go Brandon. So go ahead, put your let's go Brandon comment up, and let's talk about that some more. All right, so as we continue this earnings season, it looks like the market is very happy. Now, we just had Tesla just hit earnings. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about what's happened to Tesla. So this is great. I love it because here you go. Tesla posts record revenue and profits in its third quarter. Profits, records. Tesla was at $865 when the market closed. Well, it's now down almost 5 points. That's not a major move, don't get me wrong. But, if you're going to post record revenue and profits, why doesn't the stock go up? And that's something we teach in investor schooling, that doesn't always happen, and you got to be very prepared for it. So just know that, hey, it is what it is. So Pinterest, of course, was the play a couple of days ago, and if you listen to this show, you would have been in it because we've been talking about it all week. Now, you may have sold it yesterday, but that's okay. You still would have made some money. And some of the people, I got some phone calls today. They're all excited about getting it. We also talked about, I'm also suggesting or possibility that Bitcoin ETF, BITO, is actually moving nicely. And as I said before, it's being caused by Bitcoin moving up and the ETF moving up. And it's a great cycle for those invested in both or either. Ethereum also moved up today as it popped over 4,000 again. And of course, my favorite is Dogecoin or Doggycoin or whatever you want to call it. And Shiba are resting at 26 cents and 28 millionth of a cent respectively. Come on, 1 cent for Shiba. Let's go. And by the way, come on, $1 for Doggy Coin or Dogecoin or Dogecoin or whatever the heck it is. All right, CCL and AAL are two of my favorite plays, and they've also been hovering without much movement. I still like these plays, and I would like them, if you want to play them into the beginning of the year, they will pay off bigly. That's right, bigly, as my favorite president used to say. Anyway, Boeing still looks like a play, and it's a great play to me, so I'd still be in it too. And we'll see how the rest of the market reacts to more great earnings, and I'm hoping for a pullback, actually, from Facebook and Apple to get back in before next week. If not, I made a few bucks in the stock this week, and I should be okay with my profits, and I will be holding cash into December because I know what's going to happen. It's not going to be that great because of all the things that are coming up. Anyway, keep watching this show. You'll get great market tips and insights. Let me know if you've made any money from the show. Put it up on the on the messenger, not messenger, comments on the show. Let me know you made any money. Also, I want to thank you again for watching the show, Money Chat Now, and of course, we'll be here tomorrow. Once again, we will be here tomorrow at 4:03, and of course, from time to time, I own some of the assets and options discussed in this show. The opinions discussed in this show is solely mine, and no one has asked me to discuss them. Thanks again. We will see you tomorrow at 4:03.